everyone, because this is the week of Valentine's Day and I am once again single and a hater this year, I thought what better way to celebrate Valentine's Day by talking about my favorite fictional couples and pitting them against each other in a battle to the death. Also, I'm sorry about the audio if it's bad. Despite me having this mic, it doesn't actually work, but it adds to the dramatic effect, don't you think? I'm also holding tongs because I'm going to be pointing to things, and I am stealing this bit from Nicole Raffi. Originally, this video was going to be me ranking my favorite fictional couples for Valentine's Day, but then that physically pained me. But then I was talking to my sibling and they were like, you know what you should do? You should pit them against each other March Madness style. And I said, oh my god, that's such a good idea. I'm stealing that. So here I am, stealing that. So now I'm taking 12 of my favorite couples and I'm going to pit them up against each other in battles to see who is the best couple purely based on who would win in a fight. Because that is the best way to determine love and romance. Thank you. Before we get into things, a few things to keep in mind as we go along. Minor spoiler alert for this whole warning. So if you want to go completely spoiler free, no information to any of these books or TV shows, then just don't watch or continue watching. I'm not your mom, but if you spoil yourself, don't get mad at me. Major spoiler warnings, I will put a little timestamp that you can skip to. Second thing, I can't count and I messed up the brackets. We're gonna have 4 groups of couples fighting in one round and then 2 groups of couples fighting in the second round, and then the winners of both of those rounds are going to go head to head for the final battle. Third thing, this probably isn't important to you, but it's important to me that it's in your mind, okay? All of these battles, all of these fictional battles are taking place on a neutral ground for both of them. Whatever they need to fight to survive for themselves, they have. For the sake of this video and this argument, all of these couples are together, but they are at the full end of their character development / character development as they are now. Because some of these series are still continuing and stuff, but most of them are ended. So those are just some few things to keep in mind before we get started and to help you process my deliberations. Because if you disagree with my deliberations, you're wrong. And you need to know why you're wrong. It's important to know why you're wrong. So without further ado, let's get into round 1 with our first battle. A battle of the theater gaze. Our first couple that we'll be battling is James and Oliver from the book If We Were Villains by Amal Rio. If you don't know the book If We Were Villains by Amal Rio, read it. It's my favorite book of all time. So if you don't like the book, I don't want to hear it. It is an amazing book. It's a Shakespearean style murder mystery. But James and Oliver are our first contestants. And going up against James and Oliver, a lesbian theater couple, Lydia and Cynthia from Grease: Rise of the Pink Ladies. Grease: Rise of the Pink Ladies is a prequel series / continuation of the Grease musical world. They're 2 closeted little theater lesbians because this takes place in the 60s. So there's a lot of like internal conflict, stuff like that. Between the 2 of them, but they do fall in love. They're like a cute little rivals to lovers. It's very adorable. I love it. I'm gonna go through and I'm going to lay out all of the brackets and then we will move them and deliberate the winners. Our second couple is another group of like regular people. I think these 4 are the only really like regular people. That's a lie. There's only like 4 regular couples that aren't crazy or magical. So, next up we have Wilhelm and Simon from Young Royals. They are the epitome of queer teenage love. Wilhelm is the crown prince of Sweden and Simon is a gay choir kid. And they meet and they fall in love and it's very cute. The 3rd season comes out next month, and if they aren't endgame, I will throw myself right out that window over there and you will never hear from me again. Who's going up against them, you may ask? One of the only 2 straight couples in this entire thing, which is Sean and Juliet from Psych. If you don't know the show Psych, I don't blame you. It's like an early 2010 sitcom about this guy who pretends to be a psychic in order to get out of people thinking that he committed a murder, and then he uses his psychic abilities to help the Santa Barbara Police Department solve mysteries / just solve crimes, because the majority of the time the police department is like, that's not our problem. But Sean and Juliet Juliet O'Hara is one of the detectives, but they genuinely like have like a really, really cute friendship, and then it kind of starts to develop into something more. It is a very long, slow burn. They're literally so in love. Like, they have such a pure love for each other. The cereal box scene, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It literally... So yeah, they're going up against Wilhelm and Simon. This next one is a very, very cute couple. It is Nina and Maggie from Good Omens. Nina and Maggie are very, very cute. Nina runs a coffee shop and Maggie runs a vinyl record store. They meet because Maggie has a crush on Nina, but the reason they kind of start talking more and become closer, and Maggie admits her feelings for Nina, is because Aziraphale and Crowley need a scapegoat. And this is evil, and I know it is, so I apologize in advance. But the couple going up against Nina and Maggie is Aziraphale and Crowley. But they are the perfect people to pit up against each other because Nina and Maggie, if you don't know, are supposed to be a parallel to Aziraphale and Crowley, and in fact help Aziraphale and Crowley with their relationship in the show. This is so mean, but I was talking with the council. I said, should I do this? And they said, yes, absolutely. So it's on both of us. Okay, I know you're watching this. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Aziraphale and Crowley are an angel and a demon that were assigned to Earth in order to help start the Armageddon, but they decide that they're going to try to stop it. It's a 6,000 year slow burn that is, still cooking. Our next couple that is going into the ring is Hannibal Lecter and Will Graham from the TV show Hannibal. Hannibal Lecter is a serial killer and Will Graham is the FBI agent who is supposed to find him, but he's also not technically an agent. I really don't know what he does, and I don't think he does either. He just kind of walks in there and he's like, I'm an empath, I know how they killed the person. But he falls in love with a serial killer, so yeah, they're very cute. I love them. I love a good tragic gay. I love being so devoted to one another that you assure mutual destruction, and you know that it's going to assure mutual destruction, but you still go through with it anyways because you're so in love with one another. And our final couple competing in this round is Merlin and Arthur from the TV show Merlin. Do I really need to like elaborate on this one? I feel like even if you only know like anything about Camelot, I feel like you know these two are lovers. I feel like that's a historic fact. Arthur is the future king slash like savior of Camelot. He's supposed to bring Avalon? Question mark? Yeah. Anyways, Merlin is a sorcerer. He comes to Camelot. He meets little princey boy Arthur here, and Arthur is like, I could take you in a fight. And Merlin's like, I could take you. I'm not putting that joke in, I'm not. But something means they have like a little rivals to lovers thing. But Merlin's destined to protect him. They're so in love. So now that we have all of our couples laid out for round one, it is time to see who will win. First up, James and Oliver versus Lydia and Cynthia. As much as it pains me to say this, James and Oliver would 1000% win this fight so easily because James and Oliver are a lot more devoted to each other than Lydia and Cynthia are. Cynthia's very insecure about being a lesbian because she's like just finding out that she's a lesbian, and Lydia is very insecure in the fact of like dating people who kind of either don't know they're lesbians or like just figuring out they're lesbians because it's the 50s. So I feel like if they were fighting, they would fight harder. Cynthia's definitely scrappy though. James and Oliver are moving on. Next battle. I hate this one. Wilhelm and Simon and Sean and Juliet. The problem with this is like these two, the reason I love both of them so much is because they are just the epitome of pure love. They very much just want the best for one another, which is why I feel like this fight is so hard. I feel like, as much as I hate to say it, Sean and Juliet will win the fight. First of all, Juliet O'Hara is just, she's such a badass. So one episode where there's like this like crazy girl who's like trying to kill her with an axe. She has no weapons except a purse, and she beat that bitch up. She would totally win either in hand-to-hand combat, and she has a gun. She's strapped. She's strapped. So I feel like Juliet would definitely carry. I'm sorry. Both of my babies. We have Nina and Maggie versus Aziraphale and Crowley. Once again, this one's really hard to decide purely because they are supposed to be mirror images of each other, right? Because of the fact that like Aziraphale and Curly are trying to symbolism. Nobody cares, essentially. They're very symbolic of each other. But here's the thing. Canonically, Nina and Maggie would win. Also, Aziraphale and Crowley don't do shit. Like, I'm sorry. I love them with my whole heart. But like, here's the thing. They have never, like, all these problems, they're the main characters of the show, right? All of the problems that they're supposed to be resolving, they don't solve them. There's a scene where the bookshop gets attacked. Nina and Maggie are the ones fighting. And our final initial battle of round 1 is Hannibal and Will versus Merlin and Arthur. This one was hard. This one was actually kind of hard to decide who was gonna win. I feel like all of these three, I kind of knew immediately what the answer was, whether I liked the answer or not. But this one I actually had to do a little bit of deliberating with the council for, because they're both very, very powerful couples. Like, talk about a power couple. Merlin and Arthur, obviously, Merlin is magic. Like, he doesn't just have magic, he is magic. Hannibal is Hannibal. He overpowers literally everyone because he's very methodical, he's very smart, he's very brilliant about the way he does things and what he says. Here's how I imagine this going, right? Will dying immediately. Will would be like, I'm an empath, I'm gonna see your attack. This is my design, and then get stabbed. Hannibal definitely would stay on for a long time. I feel like Hannibal would kill Arthur, so then it would be Hannibal versus Merlin. And here's the thing, Merlin is all magic. So, Merlin and Arthur are the winners of this one. Now, we have the semifinals of round 1. So first up, we have James and Oliver versus Sean and Juliet. I think that James and Oliver would win. They have that kind of devotion that Merlin, Arthur, and Hannibal and Will have, where they very much love each other so much that they are willing to overlook their morals and their personal values in order to keep each other safe. I feel like James and Oliver would fight harder than Sean and Juliet. So James and Oliver are finalists for round 1. This is a hard battle to like think about, purely because obviously like I feel like it's kind of obvious which way it's going to go, because Merlin and Arthur are obviously winning because Merlin and Arthur are so overpowered compared to Nina and Maggie. The final battle for round 1, we have James and Oliver versus Merlin and Arthur. Once again, this is kind of an obvious answer because of how overpowered Merlin and Arthur are, but I feel like James and Oliver and Merlin and Arthur are very, very similar couples in their Shakespearean tragedy, devotion type beat way. So I feel like because of that, it would be a really fun fight to watch. I also feel like these two would have like a group therapy session with Nina and Maggie, and I feel like that would be really fun. But, you know, Merlin and Arthur are definitely winning. These are regular people. It's hard to pin regular people, especially regular theater gays, up against magic wizard gay and stabby gay. But yeah, Merlin and Arthur are the winners. The winners of round 1. Round 2. We only have 4 couples this time. So our first couple is my favorite lesbian necromancer and her sassy little cavalier, Harrow and Gideon from the Locked Tomb series. But Harrow is a necromancer, so her fighting skill is with bones. And then Gideon Nav, love of my life. Gideon is her cavalier. She's a knight in shining sunglasses, and she gets essentially hired by Harrow and promised her freedom if she goes with Harrow to this thing and is her cavalier for it. So this is like an enemies to lovers, but it's real enemies to lovers because they're trying to kill each other. Next up, the second of the 2 only straight couples on this list, Robin and Regina from Once Upon a Time. If you don't know the show Once Upon a Time, it's a big spin on a bunch of major fairy tales where all of these fairy tales are actually real. Regina's the evil queen. Her character progression is good to evil to morally gray, but she finds the love of her life, Robin Hood. They're such a good couple, and Robin was everything that she deserved. Robin was all the good in the world to her, and they love each other so much, anyways, that's our second couple. Our next couple is Kit and Jade from Willow. Willow, I'll cry for you. Kit's the princess, and Jade is her knight, her little knight in shining armor. They're friends to lovers, childhood friends to lovers. Kit and Jade both fight, actually. They are both sword fighters. There's a scene, but they're very, very cute, very wholesome. They're childhood friends and lovers, so they're just like pure, like, dumb lesbian love. And our final contestants for round 2. Another Princess Knight dynamic, actually. A lot of them are Princess Knight dynamics. Anyways, our next couple is Sabran and Eid from Priory of the Orange Tree. Sabran is the Queen of Innis. Eid is a part of the Priory of the Orange Tree. Eid is there specifically to protect Sabran because Sabran has a lot of assassination attempts happening to her, so Eid is there secretly to protect her. And then they fall in love. Now for like the actual deliberations. First off, Harrow and Gideon versus Robin and Regina. And I feel like both of them would put up such a good fight. Of word, wit, and strength. Regina and Gideon would absolutely have a blast making fun of each other. I feel like if anybody's gonna die first, it would be Robin Hood. I think Harrow and Gideon would win. Regina's a badass. Regina definitely would hold on for a very long time. Regina like rips people's hearts out. And I genuinely don't know if that would kill either one of them or not. Because Harrow and Gideon, they have a very strange dynamic because of the fact that they have achieved lictorhood. It is essentially when like a cavalier and a necromancer bond souls. And you can achieve lictorhood and you can achieve perfect lictorhood. Harrow and Gideon achieve this without even trying. And they are in their respective bodies now, but they're also technically still lictors. So I genuinely cannot tell you if ripping out one of their hearts would kill them. So, Harrow and Gideon are the winners of this battle. Next up we have Kit and Jade versus Sabran and Eid. This one I actually did have a little bit of like a, I don't know moment. I feel like very similar dynamic when it comes to devotion, love, and also the fact that both of these couples are useless fucking lesbians. But Sabran and Eid would definitely win. Eid is technically a sorceress. She has like magical powers of flame from the fruit of the orange tree, which is why it's called the Priory of the Orange Tree. So I feel like Sabran and Eid would win. Because I feel like Eid could one-shot both of them. The final round 2 is Harrow and Gideon versus Sabran and Eid. As much as I hate to say this, I feel like this is also just a very obvious, it would be Harrow and Gideon. Once again, like, this is just such an overpowered couple that it's, like, unfair. So Harrow and Gideon are our round 2 winners and our second finalists of Ruby's royal couple battle, because why is it all Princess Knight dynamic? We have our 2 finalists. We have Merlin and Arthur, and then Harrow and Gideon. Once again, very, very similar couples. It's Princess Knight dynamic for both of these, and they both have a very similar devotion style. Once again, a theme, apparently. Harrow and Merlin are kind of both magic itself. Harrow is one of the best necromancers. She is kind of the magic of the Locked Tomb series, especially because of a certain aspect of her life. And Merlin's like all magic. Like, he is magic. He is the sorcerer. They're very similar in that way. Arthur and Gideon are definitely good opponents. They definitely like bully each other first and then start fighting. It's not that hard to determine who would win. Gideon would win for sure. Gideon would verbally murder that man and then physically murder him. It was really hard. It took like 30-40 minutes of deliberation with the council. The winner is Harrow and Gideon. It would be a very long and harrowing battle, if you will. But in the end, Harrow and Gideon would win. This battle is a battle that I would pay to see. My favorite tragic gay necromancer and her knight in shining sunglasses are the winners. Anyways, that's the end of this video. I'm putting the tongs down. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun doing it. Special shout out to the council for helping me plan / come up with this video idea. Thanks, babe. Love you. If you're single, I hope you have a great self-love, self-care Valentine's Day. If you're in a relationship, I hope you break up. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, I'm gonna shut up now. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you do have a great Valentine's Day. But most importantly, don't forget to smile. Bye-bye!